Welcome to Happy Hour with Ruth
and Roxy. This is with our friend Pink Beverley, and we had a
muffins, mimosas, and merriment
at her house with how many fabulous women?
There were 9 of us all together. Right. So Beverly was hosting, yes. And then there was you and me,
yeah. and then there were 6 other women.
Yes,
because that would equal 9.
Okay, that works then. Yes, we invited 6.
Yes,
and it was kind of a fun thing because it was actually a fundraiser.
Yes,
and Beverly. No, we purchased it.
Beverly hosted it, so she put it forward, and we bid for it.
Yeah, because we thought, what a great. Well, you actually did, because I was just sort of, in my zoned out phase, thinking that's cool, and no further. And you're like, no, that's cool. We can do it as a podcast episode. So that worked out really well.
And it was really because Beverly always does a fabulous spread, there's mimosas,
and her house is so beautiful.
It's so nice. Feels like you're in the Bahamas at your very wealthy cousin's cabin on the beach.
Absolutely.
Actually, it's not a cabin on the beach. Home on the beach.
It's a cottage, yeah.
It's beautiful.
It's a beach house.
Yes, it's a beach house. But these are, sort of women from all different sort of backgrounds,
different walks of life, different ages, and different family situations.
And it's really interesting because some are parents with younger kids, some are now coming grandparents, some have stepchildren or children from a reasonably new relationship.
Yeah.
I don't have kids.
Childless by choice. Yeah.
Yes, I'm a childless dog lady. But there's all these different perspectives. That's right. But it was really interesting to hear some perspectives, and some really interesting things came out of it that made you go,
Yeah, really good conversations.
Yeah.
Let us tell people what we're drinking today while we get started.
I don't have the bottle here.
Today, no. That's okay.
It's of course from Stoneboat.
It is from Stoneboat, but it is rosé bubbles, and it's quite good.
It is very good, and it's a low. Oh, I'm supposed to clink glasses with you.
We're big fans of the regular bubbles, as you all know.
Yes.
So this is a rosé version, and we're a little picky about rosé because
neither
one of us
sweet.
has a sweet tooth for this, but this is nice and dry.
No, and it's low alcohol.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Like what? 10%?
I don't know. We'll find out and put it in the show notes. But it's lower alcohol. I don't think it's low, but it's a little lower.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yeah.
And just in case anybody's worried, I didn't get into a car accident. I got a new tattoo today, and it's colorful. So this is how they wrap them up. And it hurts. It feels like when you're a kid and you fall off your bike and you get road rash. That's what it feels like. 3 hours in the chair with the absolutely lovely Brooke, and we'll give you her tag on Instagram because she is an artist. She's fabulous.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, yes. You've had some great work done by her.
Yeah, no, she's really really sweet, and she's her baby is 10 months old. She has a little girl.
Okay.
And so I was laughing because what she did today has lots of color. It's flowers for me, and I was like, am I your only client today? Like, do you get to go home and not focus? And she's like, no, I have one more client and I got to go home and be a mom. And it was like, oh my heck. It was just like, you're a better person than me, because I didn't do anything and I wanted to come home and have a nap.
Yeah. Well, it's tough to be there though. And as you say, it's painful. You're in the same position that for a length of time, which is hard to sustain, especially when you're trying to relax, but it hurts. Oh, relax,
and
but
it really
hurts.
Like this one, because I've had other tattoos. Like this hardly hurt at all.
That one is colorful.
It is colorful, but it's also just one thing.
Okay.
Right? Like this, what she's done kind of covers over.
You have no hair on your arms.
Well, that's what she said, which is really weird. I don't have much hair on my legs. I never have. It's weird. I'm like
bragging.
I'm like a hairless chihuahua.
Bragging.
Hairless Saint Bernard.
I remember a little scenario when I was in high school. This is a weird memory. Me and my girlfriends were walking around comparing hairy arms, and there was a hairy arm winner and a hairy arm loser, and I do not know which side of the spectrum I fell on.
You don't have much, though.
Well, I don't have as much as I used to, I guess, or maybe I just can't see it anymore because my eyes now suck. But it doesn't matter. But the hairy arm contest, it's a thing.
I went to a primarily Portuguese-Italian high school.
Oh.
Right.
So you were the hairless
I
monkey
definitely
there.
was like it was always one of those where it's like, and even though this might not be my real color, I was lighter haired, so I always stood out. Right. It was, funny. And I always wanted this long, dark, cascading hair.
Oh,
right?
of course, yeah.
But yes. So I don't think you guys can see because our mic's in the way, but Scruffy is in the middle of us.
Yep.
Can you see him? Oh, you just see the top of his head. Lift your head, buddy.
Say
there
hi.
You go.
Say hi. There we go.
There. So So let's talk about. So we got all these women together, and it was really fun. So one of the questions that we asked that was really interesting was, what would you tell your younger self? And one of the women, Erin, who was there, she said she was telling her partner about it, and his response was immediate. He didn't hesitate about what he would tell his younger self.
And he said, that's easy. I wish I knew that women liked sex as much as men. And if you don't know that or don't believe that, it's because you're doing it wrong. We talked about how, young men or older men, any men, are kind of taught or believe that it's this like thing you're trying to like acquire, despite women not wanting it, and that like they're the brakes and you have to overcome it. And then I said it's kind of like you're learning that it's something you're doing to them as opposed to with them. And he was like, exactly.
Whoa.
That's a big
That's and women are somehow convinced that they don't like it, not because you're doing it wrong, but because like that's how it's supposed to be.
They shouldn't like it.
Yeah, they shouldn't like it.
If you do like it, there's, oh boy, you're a bad.
Yeah, there's labels.
There's labels.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
And I think that's why maybe even now men are so caught up on, some men, probably not as many anymore, caught up on like body count.
Right.
Oh,
Because if she's experienced, then she will know he's no good.
Yep.
Heard what Erin said, that her partner Alex said he wished the guys understood that women like sex as much as men do.
Yeah, that's what he wished his younger self knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it was really interesting though, because it did lead into a conversation about a little bit about purity culture and a little bit about all of the things.
A little bit about consent,
Yeah.
a little bit about just the reciprocity of relationships, of which sexuality is part of
Yeah.
that, right? Yeah, it was a very interesting conversation.
How in a heterosexual relationship anyway, how males are trying to figure out how to get it from you.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's a really interesting thing to me, because it's always been the, but don't you think women do that?
Right. Yeah.
And
yeah.
back in the day, if you had somebody, and I can remember being at a couple of parties, and there were very, very forward women, let's say, and it was a little bit, it would throw you off a little bit, because it was like they were making very clear what they wanted, which is a really good thing in context now. But
Yeah.
back then it was like, I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
It's such a cultural thing, right? Like even we're so I'm thinking of two examples. One is Sex
and the City.
And the City.
Yeah.
I never really got into it, but I know that show was known for showing women who were willing to go out and get what they wanted,
Yep.
relationship-wise, including sex.
Yep.
And they portrayed it in I think a very healthy
Yep.
healthy way all the time. And then there's Modern Family, which I know really well because I've watched it a million times. And there's one scene in there, it's really funny, where Claire is talking to Phil, and I think they're talking about one of their kids who was probably the one that they were pregnant with when they got married. And he is telling her, you're the gatekeeper. You're supposed to, I'm not in charge of this. You're in charge of this.
Right.
And it was funny. And it's, we all recognize that. But this is, so how much of that is actual biological truth, and how much of that is
Right.
enculturated on
Right.
top of us? That women are to be the brakes. Men are
Right.
always the gas. Women are always the brakes. I think
Yeah.
that's kind of what Alex was talking about, is that
Yeah.
if women liked sex as much as men, then they would be wanting, they'd
Right.
be trying to get it as much
Right.
as men.
Right.
And I think that there's nuances there.
Yes,
for
but
sure.
but also that, and again, it sort of goes back to, it, in for some, a committed relationship is a more comfortable place, right? Kind of thing. But that's just it. But if it's the thing is, and I think those who are a bit younger have a bigger freedom around it, and for some, sex is a physical act. With some, it's a physical act, whereas with others, there's emotion attached
Yeah,
too, right?
yeah.
And it's all of that. But back in the day, because I had a lot of guy friends, I probably had more guy friends than not. you didn't really have those conversations about, because you talk to some women and they're like, no, I need to be emotionally involved, and other women are like, no, I'm good, right? You know, it's how it is. You didn't have those conversations with guys,
No,
right?
no.
Because the perception was the physical act came first.
It came first
right?
and sometimes only.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It was the primary thing. Yeah.
Interesting. So tell us what you, because we had other things and it wasn't, this is the one that got on, but you know, what you would tell your younger self. Right, but tell us what you would tell your younger self. It would be really interesting to have that conversation on Facebook, right? Or to email us and we can bring it up in the next episode.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. So Kat was sharing. She had to leave, but she wanted to say something before she left. She was like, "No, I need to get this out there about the difference between listening and hearing, and how challenging she has found it with some people." And she was specific about age and demographics being a role there, in that it is really hard right now to feel heard. Everyone wants to be heard, but nobody wants to listen.
Nobody's listening.
Was her comment.
But I feel like the surprise is people don't want to listen and people want to be heard. And it's kind of a sad thing.
Yep.
I think I can't have a conversation with somebody. I'm going to get emotional with this, but I find a lot of it here, but just in a certain demographic, like you can't have a conversation with somebody without them saying things like, oh, well, my family this, or my kids this, or me this, and it's like their way of relating, but they're not listening at all to
Yeah.
anything.
It's all about them.
So to the point
Yeah.
about the male. Yeah, I think it you know, like it's on all of us to kind of reach out and listen. I think we suck and as we get older. The young kids are so good. My kids will sit and listen to me all day long. The 20-year-olds are more than happy to
Yep.
sit and listen. But as we age, I notice the shift in not listening
Yeah.
and wanting to be heard. And that's just been kind of a surprise I've learned with age. And we could all just listen more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Us, right? Like if you're overtired, if you are overused, like somebody's tapped your energy, right? Or you've said yes to too many things, whatever. It's really hard to, there's gonna be one little pebble that drops into that thing and you'll lose your mind in Costco, like I did once. So if we're all heard, like you're saying, which comes first? You have to be heard in order to have the ability to hear someone, right? To have that space. But you're right, there's a really fine line between
balance.
taking that the spotlight away from that person. If you throw that spotlight back, you make, like, I think then it can work, right?
It's acknowledging what they're saying
Yeah.
and giving them the empathy that they're
Yeah.
looking for,
Yeah.
and then you can relate.
Right. Because we all have had very similar experiences. For the most part, we all understand love, loss, disappointment, pain, all those things. But how do we encourage the shared aspect of those experiences, right? Instead of, my gash is deeper than your gash, because that's often how it comes across, right? I think she's got a real point there, and it's we all know what that feels like.
Yep.
It doesn't feel good when but you see memes all the time right now that says, "Oh, I feel so heard," or "I feel so seen,"
Yes.
right? Everyone wants that.
Yep.
Everyone needs that. But if no one else is willing to listen, how does
Yep.
anyone get that?
Right. It evolves into a bigger thing, because the fact is, I mean, if somebody, so when we do any kind of sort of communications training or anything like that, we always say, don't listen to answer, listen to hear. Right?
Say that again.
Don't listen to answer.
Oh, don't listen in order to answer.
Don't listen in order to answer. Listen in order to hear what they're truly saying.
Okay.
Right? And that goes for like media training and stuff too, because I mean, not that you can't tell the reporter what you want to tell them, but it's also like, make sure that you're really hearing the person, and don't be taking it in a way that's like, oh, I could say this, and everybody's got the person in the group that feels like they have to be the one that is the topper, right? Oh, I could do that, or this, but it is an interesting thing, and there's now you and I, because we both write, I think we're really interested in people, and so we ask a lot of questions, and you pull things out of people. Not everybody is comfortable with that kind of with using that curiosity.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah, that's true.
And they're comfortable telling their story, but also maybe they're lonely.
Yeah. I think that's true. I think sometimes I find it interesting. We didn't touch on this in the group exactly, but is there a difference between people who live with someone else or have someone else that they regularly talk to and someone who maybe lives alone or
Right.
doesn't have a lot of social contact? When those people are with other people, do they tend to
Have they built it up?
Right.
Right.
And then it's because I was remembering really clearly early on when our kids were small and, we had just moved to BC. I didn't know anybody here yet. And my husband would be working long hours. When he got home, it's like, look out.
You were a
I got
chatterbox.
everything I got to tell you.
Yeah.
I gotta,
And I want to talk to a grown-up.
Yeah, I want to talk to a grown-up
Yeah.
and you're the only person. He's been talking to people all day. He's
Yeah.
exhausted.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to talk to me or listen to me. And I'm like, I've been talking to babies all day. So does that play a role? Does that make a difference?
But that's
right?
interesting. But I also wonder, because you could have someone who lives with you who doesn't listen to you either, and
Right,
that's a
right.
different kind of loneliness, right? But the other side is, what's the give and take of a conversation? Like for some, like there are lots of people, and there are lots of really interesting people, and they're in a party and they like to be the center of attention, and they have a really interesting monologue, kind of, right? And it's fun and it's entertaining. But for me, that's a limited time engagement.
Yeah.
Right, because as a bit of an introvert, I want to have something real, not just
Yes.
because honestly, I could watch the Jimmy Kimmel monologue.
Totally. Yeah.
But it is, and the difference between, because I've also had people listen to me where they're going, and they're not hearing me.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
like they're just going through the motions of the social.
Right.
And
Somebody
so-
told them to
yeah.
nod and smile
Yeah.
or something, which is better than nothing, which is better than looking down and checking your phone for sure. But it still is not really achieving the desired effect.
Well, and it's not authentic.
It's
right?
not authentic, yeah.
Because, and I mean, you and I have different days where there are some days when I have plenty to get out and you listen and ask questions. And the same with you, right? Where it's always like, it depends on the relationship and the need. And sometimes it's just like, I need to vent. And you
Yes,
just need somebody
yes.
to, and the
Yeah.
question, I think I've told you this before, Paul, and I always do is, okay, do you want me to listen to fix it, or do you want me to listen just to listen?
That's such a
Right?
great question. And it kind of makes me think too of, like your original statement was, because you're trained in comms, you're used to asking questions, you're used to kind of pulling
Yeah.
things out. And one of the very first things I learned when I was doing my editorial program was to keep the audience in mind always keep
Yeah.
and you've reinforced that for me too, is it doesn't matter what you say or
What
write
you want to
or
say.
what you want.
Right? You have to
The
say it for them.
You have to. How are they going to take it?
Yeah.
Like
And-
what?
and
It doesn't
how-
matter if you say it perfectly. If they don't understand it, it doesn't matter. You've written it wrong
Yeah.
if they don't understand
Right.
it.
They have to
or
be
you've said
able
it wrong.
to consume it in a
Yeah.
way that works for them, but also from, like, I mean, I grew up at Maclean's magazine with some of the world's best journalists, right? I mean, honestly, that was the biggest thing, because they'd be asking people things, and you could see that if they didn't phrase the question right, then it would be really hard to get the response within the context
Yeah.
that they were looking for,
Yeah.
right? And it wasn't trying to set anybody up to say anything. It was like, but if you say, how's your day? The answer could be anything. That's an open-ended question, right? So it's like, I see you're having a challenge.
Right.
How's that? How are
Right.
you handling that
Yeah.
today?
Yeah.
Right? Like there's a difference. But then you have to listen, because they might say, no, I'm having a worse challenge about over this. And if you're waiting for them to say this, but the other thing is, it's just taking a minute and not making it about you.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the bigger challenge and
Yeah.
the bigger message. And I think that was Kat's point as well,
Yeah.
as far as if you can step out of yourself enough to actually look at somebody else and hear
Yeah.
them, that's a different experience. That's a completely different level of communication.
No, and it is interesting. So tell us, do you think about that? Like, when you talk to friends, family, colleagues, whoever it is, do you feel heard? And the other thing, do you think you think you help them feel heard, right? Because there's a difference between listening to acknowledge and listening to hear. So the one we're going to go into now is interestingly also Kat, and she talks a little bit about meeting her now husband and the father of their 3 kids, Stephen. But what?
I lived in Dubai in the United Arab Emirates And I moved there with 2 suitcases, a one-way ticket, no job, no apartment, and nobody really knew what I was doing. I mean, in a roundabout way, I had met Steve years before in Mexico, and we stayed in touch online. And he had moved there. And it's interesting reading back emails that we exchanged, because at the time it was only email. And this is like 2006. And he was kind of urging me to come out, experience an opportunity that is like no other in North America. And I sat on it for quite some time. And my grandma booked the ticket and like literally sent me off. Stephen, my husband now, picked me up from the airport, and I went back to his flat with his roommate and him. And stayed there until I thought I wanted my own place, and that never happened. And I've lived with the man ever since. But, you know, it's one of those ones with Steve where I met him, and I was like already in quite a serious relationship and thought I was going to marry this man that I was with for 7 years. And I met Steve, and it was like, I love you. Like right off the bat, it was one of those. But anyways, I think to have I was completely naive to where I was going, but what I found was youth gave me, like, there was no boundaries and there was no obstacles when I was young. I wanted to do something, I did it. And I feel now, you know, with the compilation of life and family and children and career, and, you know, I feel like I have so many restrictions in my life, you know, and those really can weigh really heavy on me sometimes to just want to go, you know. Like if I find a mirror on Marketplace in Vancouver, I just want to go and buy it. I don't have to think about anything, you know what I mean? Yeah, I think the thing I'm most proud of is those moments, and Dubai being one of them, is just upping and going and not really thinking about anything and just doing it.
So one of the things, that I took from that, because Kat and Stephen are realtors as well as our friends, but
And neighbors.
yeah, and neighbors, they do live here. But the other thing from that is, it was so cute because she was in a long-term relationship. You heard her, and she's like, yeah, you know, and then I met him, and it was like, oh, I love you. Mm-hmm. And she knew from the moment she met him. And then she ran off to Dubai with a one-way ticket and 2 suitcases.
Yeah, I'll say that's brave.
That's pretty brave. Which she said, if I find a mirror on Marketplace in Vancouver, I just want to go. And there was like the mirror on Marketplace sort of, you know, analogy kind of hit me. And she was like, you know, so she still got this zest for adventure. Mm-hmm, and then what she said was, and I want my boys to have that.
Yeah.
Right. Came from, but we're going to hear, I think, from Pink Beverley, who talks about huge things in her life, and she is quite open about all of this. But we'll let you listen to her, and then we'll come back. And it's sort of, you know, it's kind of the road not taken, right?
Come out of the Mad Men era where the women were supposed to do all the housework and look after the kids, and really find myself before I got married way too young and made some mistakes. I don't regret my children in any way, shape, or form, but I got married too young, and my life would have been different. I was 19 when I had Heather out of wedlock and gave her up for adoption. And then, the hardest thing I ever did in my life, to give up that baby. And then, at 20, I married the man who was Heather's father. And then I wound up having 2 girls with him who are all sisters, like real sisters. But he was an asshole. And you know what? We had 20 years together. 15 of them were pretty good. But that's what I would tell my younger self. Don't do that. Find yourself first.
I think that idea of discovering who you are before you commit to sharing your life with somebody else is so important.
Yeah.
Such a huge message, and I don't think that gets taught a whole lot.
No, and I think especially when it comes to sort of the more traditional families and that kind of thing, and I also think, but it feels like she had that chapter of her life, and then she had she had a chapter. She was engaged to a man she loved very deeply, who loved her, and he passed away. And now she's in a new chapter, but it is really interesting that when she talks about it, I don't think she has regrets. I think she just looks at the road not taken, right? Is a different way to look, because she has daughters that she loves and grandkids, and so but it is an interesting thing to look back and say, what if I turn left instead of right?
Yeah.
And I think we all do that to some extent, but hers are very clear because she's had these very defined chapters.
Yeah,
Right?
she has.
It's quite interesting.
It's I mean, it's kind of funny because we're both in the house moving stage of life, which is so painful.
Yeah.
But you've already landed on the place you're going to. We haven't landed there quite yet, but it's the idea of everything I say yes to means no to something
Right.
else, right? So I'm looking at all these houses and I'm thinking, but is there something better in the wings? Is there something better in the wings? And no matter what you look at, what decision you make, what school you go to, what do you major in, what career do you
You're always
choose,
gonna
what
question
husband
it.
do you pick, what partner do you have children, do you not have children? These are all forks in the road. Your life could have been very different, doesn't really matter. You're going to have a life, and you have to commit to the one that you've got.
Well, and that you've either chosen or and I can't remember what movie this was from, but it always hit with me. It's like not making a decision is a decision in itself.
Absolutely, it
right?
is.
Is kind of, but it's sort of like, not that I'm, I still go and look in the place we're looking because we've already bought a place, but I go and look and I'm always like, oh, am I going to find something better? But you kind of
should
have
stop
to.
looking.
But that's just
You
it.
really
But
should.
it's kind of life advice in general. It's like,
Yeah.
make the decision and go fully forward. Right?
Engage
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's not to say you can change your mind or change course later on, but I think that, and for me, that's indecision. Decision making is a particular challenge for my personality, in that I am so aware of the possibilities. I'm so aware of everything that's out there that it can be really hard for me to commit to something, but once I'm committed, all good, no
Right.
problem.
Right.
So, help me get through the next 6 weeks, man, before we commit to a house, because
No, but
I'll be-
but it definitely, but it is, and that it's that again. There's a sort of good analogy for it, right? Is having all the choices in front of you, and sometimes you're given all these choices, and you're like, even deciding what university to go to. It feels like when I was back deciding where to go, I was too immature to make that decision.
Oh, yeah.
It definitely makes you think about what you're committing to, right? And I think talking about what you wish your younger self knew, which was a really popular question, right? Like, I think that's one to really think about. Erin was categorized, branded as gifted, right?
but not right away.
Right.
And
But when I was in junior high, I did really poorly in school, and so they did all these hippie tests on me, and they're like, "Oh, you're like gifted, you're creative." So they pulled me out, put me in this little short bus school where you'd like do animation and measure bubbles, like for creative kids, and math kids were there too. And then in high school in Vancouver, same thing. I got pulled out and got put in this performing arts school for like gifted kids. So I had 2 separate experiences in 2 separate schools where they said, "Oh, you're not dumb, you're gifted." That they put this like thought in my head that if I wasn't doing something well, it's because I can do better or I can do something different. And it was such powerful like framing and brainwashing. And my brother, who's the same age, he's adopted, didn't get that. Got put in the class that was like the easier math and the easier whatever. And if you saw him now and saw me, like, we're not similar. And I think I attribute a lot of that to like what we were told in the framing. But the downside is I took away from that you can be anything. And I had this like immense pressure that I put on myself that if I wasn't like being great or like beyond normal or like achieving, that it was just because I wasn't like trying hard enough or doing the work or something, like I should be president or something. This weird internal pressure that I should be like overachieving.
It's like the paralysis of too many options.
Yeah, and like why can't I just like chill out and work in retail and whatever, I don't know.
Yeah.
But so anyways, I think I attribute a lot of that to like my ambition or like, you know, kind of drive. But also it's, I don't know if you relate to this, but I ended up having like chronic anxiety and stress with like needing to like get stuff done. So only recently I'm kind of trying to do the opposite, where I'm trying to like deprogram myself from feeling like I have to do so much and like I have to achieve and like I have to do this or that. Like if I haven't already achieved, like I have like the basics and I have like, you know, a house and like stuff I need, then if this isn't enough, like what is enough? And so I'm kind of like trying to undo it.
I think Erin was fortunate, right, that she got to go to a creative school, but then that put a different pressure on her.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. It's so interesting hearing her talk about that, because the pressure, there's one pressure where you're forced into a mold where maybe you don't fit, or you're told this is your only option. It's a whole different pressure to be told there is no mold. You can do whatever you want. You are brilliant and gifted, and the
You
world
can
is your
achieve
oyster.
anything
You
you
can
want,
achieve
that's right.
anything. And then it's like paralysis.
Yep.
It's a hard question because I'm a list maker. So if there's something I can do and I have the ability and resources, then I've already done it.
You've probably already done it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I would say, and then you said, what if money was no option? Okay, because that's the main resource, because I'm not a billionaire. I think I've never added those things to my list. But I would definitely, like recently I stopped working in tech mostly.
Right.
And the only reason I work in tech is for the money.
Yeah.
And so it'd be more about putting that, like retiring from tech altogether and opening all my time up to do more of those things I think on my list, or things I want to do without kind of worrying about that.
You kind of did that a little bit with opening your
Yeah.
shop.
I am doing that, but then I picked up another tech contract recently.
Something like we've talked about this in other podcasts, so you should just try things. I suck at art, but I love it.
Oh,
right?
goodness.
So there's all
Yes.
these things. But if you've been categorized as successful, gifted, overachiever,
Yeah.
right, then all of a sudden if you're not good at it, you think, what's wrong with me? Because they branded me. I
Yeah.
got branded
Yeah.
early on as not good at math and science.
Yeah.
Now my question is, was it because I was good with words, or did I really not have, like, did anybody actually test me, or did they make an assumption because I was good
Yeah.
with words,
Yeah.
right? I was good with English and history and that kind of stuff. So what if somebody had said to me, do you know, the numbers tell a story, right?
Oh,
what
yeah.
If, or,
Yeah.
or they
Yeah.
explain to me, because
Yeah.
science and culinary arts are very intertwined.
They are,
right?
yeah.
Like, it's an interesting thing because you become what they're telling you.
Totally.
Are, especially
It's a
at that young
self-fulfilling
age,
prophecy.
right?
Yeah.
Because I don't know that I suffered with chronic anxiety, but I certainly put a lot of pressure on myself to achieve and to make sure that everything that's on this list is done, and not just done, it had to be perfect. So I did suffer with that, but then at 40 years old, I went on a journey with other group of women of my age, and it was the best self-awareness journey I ever went on.
And Julie talked a bit about that too, right? About sort of, you become the one that achieves things, and if that happens to you early on, in grade school, high school, whatever it is, that becomes your persona, right?
Well, and in family systems too, there's, siblings are always sort of slotted
right.
in certain areas, and sometimes in some families you're not allowed to have the same space that a sibling has.
Right.
Or, well, this one is the bad kid, so you have to be the good kid.
Right.
Or this is the one that's smart in math, so therefore
Right.
you have to be
Right.
smart in
Something
words.
else.
Or
Right.
this is the boy, so he's
Right.
going to be the achiever.
Right.
You're the girl. We're going to put you in typing school. Slotted.
Yeah.
I saw an interesting meme that's somewhat related to this recently that it said, I thought that I had social anxiety until my therapist told me, you're just surrounding yourself with the wrong people.
Yep.
And I thought, so brilliant. We take these things on ourselves, right? Oh, I'm not good at this, I'm not good at that, or I can't do this, or this isn't my thing. And maybe you've just been in the wrong environment that hasn't nurtured those aspects of your personality or your...
A fish can be a genius in the ocean, but if you tried to get it to ride a bicycle, right, you would think it's useless. It's like trying to push a square peg into a round hole, right? Like that they're just like easy cocktail parties for some. It's a nightmare for me, right? I'm not good at the little chit chat. Right, so I stand there and I don't want to say anything because all of a sudden I'll be deep into politics or deep into something or deep into this, right? And not everybody wants to be that, right? So those little, I'd rather have a small group where you can dig into something. Yeah. And whether it's what I want to talk about or what they want to talk about, I'm just happy to dig in.
You are surprisingly much better at it than you think you are. Yeah, you are. And to my incredible surprise, I am actually much better at it than I ever thought I was too.
Yeah.
And it's not that, because I would vastly prefer an in-depth conversation with somebody that I know and care about that matters, as opposed to the funny, superficial stuff. The funny, superficial stuff is, generally speaking, exhausting, but it does play a role in how humans get to know each other. So
that's true.
You have to have a certain amount of that. You need to do that, and
you do. But then the cool part is when you find somebody and you end up sitting like at a party on the couch having a real conversation. The bad part is if you find nobody at those parties. After a while, you're done with the weather. Whatever sports team is winning at the moment. You know, the stuff, because for me, like, especially these days, I go deep into politics or history or something, and it's like you have to watch it, and then now there's all sorts of stuff out there because somebody says something, you know, that they support something that I'm really against. It's like, okay, I really don't belong, and I'm getting better because I'll go for a bit and then it's like, you know what, I need to get going. If it's draining me, I don't stay anymore.
That's smart,
right?
That's smart,
because
I've seen you do that.
Oh, the Irish exit.
Where's Ruth?
The Irish goodbye.
Oh, she went to bed.
Yep,
oh,
the
she
Irish
went,
goodbye.
What? She just disappeared. She took her dogs and she
left.
left.
That's different though. That's the Irish goodbye is like when you're just tired and you can't, and because what happens...
Now, you did that early on in our relationship. I don't think you would do that to me now.
Oh, yeah, I would.
You would not do that to me now. I would come and find you.
But I've always done this also because it's like I'm really tired and I go to bed early and then it's like I have nothing else to contribute. And so the reason I think it's called the Irish goodbye is because in Ireland, if you go say goodbye to people, they're like, no, I'll buy you a pint, we'll have a conversation. And then you're there for another 2 hours,
so you
right?
Just slip,
so if you
slip
say,
away.
And I do have some friends who I love dearly, but if you said, I'm going to bed, they'd say, no, you're not. My friend Moppy, it was like, I'm going to bed. And he would come in when we used to go to the cottage every year. And he would come in and he would juggle knives, because he's a really good juggler.
What?
He would stand over me and I'm trying to sleep and he would juggle. And it would either be bowling pins or knives or something because he wanted me to get up. So I used to wait till he wasn't looking and go, and then I'd put a dresser up against the door.
Wow. Okay.
See? So I'm scarred, Moppy.
One day, Moppy, I'm going to meet you and I do not know what I'm going to do with you.
Nobody does.
Nope.
35 years of friendship, I still don't know what I'm going to do with him.
Alrighty.
The male loneliness epidemic, but I think it's more aptly called the male skill gap. You'd think that if you were lonely, if you were lonely, you'd call somebody, or maybe say yes the next time someone asked you to do something. Join something, or whatever. You know, you have social skills, and I think it really is just a gap in social skills that like boys aren't taught, and boys and grow up into men kind of learn to rely on their partner as to like fill their social calendar and to like plan their social things, and your friends are my friends.
So is it about that? Is it about the planning and the initiating and the engaging, or for men, is it the inability to be vulnerable enough?
That is one part of it. Like there's
I think that's
I saw a funny TikTok video, and it was like how men have conversations like, oh, how you doing? And he's like, good. Well, you know, my dog died. He's like, oh yeah. So you've been golfing lately? Yeah. I just went golfing yesterday. I got in a big car accident on the way. Oh yeah. So how about that hockey? Like no follow-up questions.
Right.
Yeah. No empathy in there.
Nothing.
No feeling.
Yeah. Like there could be all these like kind of bids for like connection or vulnerability, and they're just like moving on.
Yeah.
And my partner's pretty good, but like even he will say, if I like ask a follow-up question, he'll be like, Erin, don't pry.
Ooh.
I'm like, no. Like they brought that up,
Yeah.
You know, like this is
Yeah.
part of
Yeah.
like having a relationship with somebody. I mean, social is
Yeah.
to, you know, they can say they want to talk about it.
Yeah.
But
It's up to them to say
that kind of default of like, we don't say anything personal, we don't ask
Yeah.
questions. So, yeah.
And that was really interesting to me because I never thought about it that way.
It was really interesting to me too, and I love how she categorized it as a skill gap.
Yeah.
Right. Men and boys aren't taught these skills. Women and girls are. Are we more naturally relationally oriented? I don't know. Is that a cultural thing, or
Right.
is it
that
biological?
nurture or nature, right?
Exactly. Who knows what it is? But whatever it is, women do tend to have better skills
Yeah.
or place a higher value on interpersonal relationships and having real
Yeah.
ones. Whereas men may not find reward in that. They might not find that culture rewards them for that behavior.
Right.
And so
well,
they
but-
don't necessarily learn it.
No,
then,
and think
right?
about, so you have guys that maybe, like the males have guys they go golf with, right?
Yeah.
And so, but that's it. It's not like you're going to get into a deep, hey, I'm worried about, I don't know, my career. I'm worried about retirement. You're not going to really get in, you can't get into it much on the golf course, right?
No.
And so, but then.
And I can speak to it, Julie, this might resonate with you too, is being here, and since Stefan has been retired, the social skills are coming out more. So not only just the shift work, but in, you know, first responders, but a lot of police, all you do is hang out with other cops. We had a couple of really good friends at our other place in Coquitlam. But you know, when you're working shift work and you have to count by eights, right? Oh no, we can never go to this thing because he's going to be working, or I was going to a lot of things alone. But also there was the unwillingness. Stefan would say, no, I don't want to go, you go. Because even if he was available, he wasn't available.
Right.
He was done with people. And also going into that situation where everyone's going to ask, oh, you know, what's it like being a cop and this and that? Like, you don't want to talk about it.
16-year-old boy from the rafters, that kind of thing.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
resonates
or
well with my husband.
yeah, went to a really bad car accident where there was kids in the car, or those kind of things.
Yeah.
Like, so that we had our own kind of coping mechanisms for that, and there was some loneliness for me in not having my partner at a lot of things.
Right.
But again, since retirement, I mean, the Stefan that people know here, like you see him at pickleball and stuff like that, and everyone says, oh, he's such, you know, he's very outgoing and this and that. That's just been in the last 5 years.
That's the same with JD.
Yeah.
Retirement.
Yeah,
He
very,
talks to
very
people and-
closed, very guarded.
It's a skills gap because at some point it feels like little boys, and maybe not so much now, because I think younger parents now are doing a much better job, but it was like, you know, go find a kid to play with in the playground, but you better not cry, and you better not tell them you're
Yeah.
feeling sad, right?
I quite love watching my kids interact with their kids, and I have 2 grandsons now, and watching my daughters all interact, like mom and aunt interact with, you know, the little boys, because I had 3 daughters.
Yeah.
They don't know what it's
Right.
like to have a brother, so now we've got these little boys in our family, and I'm loving what I'm seeing. It's like, identify your feelings. Let's give you words for your feelings,
Right.
and let's give you outlets for your energy, and let's not give you grief for crying,
Right.
because crying happens.
Yeah.
Crying happens to all of us, and they're not making these little boys feel like it's a bad thing,
Right, and it's
you
not
know?
gender specific.
It's not
right?
gender specific,
or
It's-
traditional gender specific.
it's not traditional
right?
gender.
Yeah.
They are helping these children become who they are,
Right.
as opposed to imposing
Right.
roles on them because of what gender
Yeah,
they are.
like in you know, cisgendered males, guys who cook.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Guys who
yeah.
are very stylish. You know, and there's all of this stuff that before they used to have these very specific, you know, lanes that you were supposed
Yeah.
to stay in.
Yeah.
And now it's really different. And I think that's a good thing. But I think going back to what Erin was saying, it is a skills gap. Because
Yeah.
if you think about, I mean, with a few exceptions, if you think about who creates social events at our age, it's usually the women, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not very often. I mean, we do have couples who do it, but I bet you the person driving it is the woman,
It's
and the guy's
usually-
happy
yeah.
to do it, but that's
Yeah.
because that's what we grew up in, right?
Yeah.
We asked, what would you do if money were no object? And it was interesting to me is that most of the conversation turned to travel, right?
It
wasn't.
did, yeah.
It
The first thing that I thought of was going back to. Oh, I'll take that. Going back to visit where my mom was born in Cornwall. In Cornwall, in England. Cornwall, England. Wow. And we actually had the trip planned, and but we had to cancel it because it was in 2020 and it was COVID. Yeah, it was real sort of a trip for ancestry, and so we had planned to spend some time in Cornwall and the southwest, so Cornwall, Devon, Dorset, and then going across to France into Normandy, because Stefan has traced his family all the way back to two brothers that came over from Dieppe. The Hamel family comes from that area in France, and they can trace it to two brothers that came to Quebec City in the 1600s. Oh my goodness. So that was like the dream trip, that we always say it wasn't canceled, it was postponed. My mom came over when she was 5, and they only went back recently, within the last 10 years. She had never been back before. So it's, thinking of yourself as sort of Canadian, and, my parents grew up in Burnaby and met in high school and all that kind of stuff, but there's always that piece of a very recent family that I don't know much about, and I got into researching family history, and because my mom never talked about it because it was kind of traumatic. She lost her mom, and so then her dad and her brother and her, they came over on the ship where
So she lost her mom as a small child.
Small child.
5 or less.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. When I was in college and started studying attachment theory, a lot of things about my mom started to make sense. Well, from a very early age, she was, you talk about like in families where the father passes away and the eldest son becomes the man of the house. She was the woman of the house at a very young age, feeling like she had to take care of her brother who was 7 years older than her and her father.
That's a lot.
And so there's a lot of that stuff that you can kind of unpack. But for me, it was just, it's always important to go back and sort of walk those streets. There's.
So when will you do that?
We have talked about that would be my retirement trip. So maybe 2 more years. Yeah.
I think for me, because again, no kids.
Yeah.
We've traveled a fair amount. Like travel's just part of my life.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And money, of course, money plays into it for
Yeah,
me. But
for
but
sure.
it doesn't necessarily play into it because I will just go.
Yeah.
If I can't stay in the best hotel, I'll just stay in a hotel.
Yeah.
Right. But the other thing was, it was travel for people, and it was really nice because Heather sort of shared. They have this big bucket list trip. Right, and just the reasons for it, and thinking about the stuff that you want to do.
Connecting with her history,
Yeah.
connecting with the genealogy,
Yeah.
her mother's life, so getting connected to that history that maybe
Yeah.
she lost or didn't get enough of, right?
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
No, it really is, and I think sometimes some of the joy is in planning the thing, right? Like, and it's saving for it and achieving, and I just saw a thing on Facebook, and J.K. Rowling has been seen off Vancouver Island, and so have a few other very rich people, like the
Okay.
people that have yachts
Yeah.
and then have yachts with their yachts.
Right.
It's just a storage thing.
Right.
And I was thinking, what what would travel accomplishment look like for them? Because they can, like, there's no striving for it or achieving it, right?
That's a great point, because that idea of I mean, what's the quote? I'll look it up for this, but a man's reach must exceed his grasp, or what's a heaven for, right?
Well, and there's you need something to someone to love, something to live for, something to strive for, right? Or something like there's and that feels like human nature.
It does. So once you don't have that anymore, once you have, and I think we've all heard the studies of people that win the lottery.
Yeah.
Typically tend to lose all their money, or it ends up being not great for them, because that need to achieve, that need to fight for something and get it. It's I think it goes back to a basic hunt and gather kind of mentality. Is we feel that need to provide for ourselves. We need that sense of accomplishment. Once we've done it, if it was just given to you, do you feel that?
Well, and you appreciate it as much. And like, I think there's a thing out there that tells you how much money is where the ratio of happiness growth starts to decline. And I forget what it is, but it's not as much as you ever would think, right?
Yeah.
Because let's say you have a yacht that needs another yacht to bring along supplies, because God forbid you run out of crackers, right? And so it's like, so what's the next thing to achieve, right? So, but it kind of warmed my heart that most of, there were two people, actually Kat is walking the El Camino Trail.
Yes.
And I think Shelley wants to do that
it,
too, right?
I want to do the El Camino Trail. Really? And it's been something that I've wanted to do for years. And I have had so many of my clients do it, and they share, and I'm just like super jealous and super excited for them all at the same time. And I really want to do it. And I know that there's different areas. I haven't done the full research on it. It's just something I want to do. I just think that the whole walking along a pilgrimage route and stopping at different hostels and having the whole community embrace you when you're coming through something, because I'm a huge history lover, and I just really, really want to be a part of that history. So I'm kind of hoping to do it in the next 1 to 2 years. So that's something that I would really, really love to do. Yeah. I mean, if I can do it next year, that's my bucket list goal.
Oh my God, this is like, I should make a course on getting shit done.
You should, exactly.
Okay, so I was really lucky to have two parents that sort of like endowed me with like a kind of mindset to get stuff done. So for example, one of my mom's mantras that she says to me a lot and I say a lot is, well, you can't afford not to. So if it's like a trip and it's like more than you have to spend, but you could pull it together and stress out a bit about money after, then like just do it. And the other thing is, so I do a lot of like coaching, like people to surf, for example, and everybody thinks they can't do it. And I'm like, well, my mom's 72 and she's doing it.
She's surfing?
Yeah.
Like on the ocean?
Yeah, and they're like, oh, she must be athletic. No, like she's not particularly athletic. Just for hiking yesterday, and she's like, I want to do an ollie. And so we were talking through it. And so when I have a friend who, so I'm always trying to like influence people to like take the first step of something. People who are like, I can't. I'm like, well, can you get in the water? Like, let's start. You're going to get in the water. You're going to have a life jacket on, and you're going to have the board. That's all we're going to do today. Can you do that? And they don't want to when it's cold and me. Okay, but then it's not that you can't, it's that you won't. Yeah, So just breaking, it goes back to like I dog train, the dog training too. It's called chunking. When you put too many things together that you can't overcome it, you can't be successful. And it's called splitting, where you say, what's the step that I can do today? Writing a book? Yeah, so like what can you do today that you could be successful at?
You can write 500 words.
You could write 10 words.
You can write 10 words.
You could read one article on how to write a book.
Yeah, that's true.
You could, there's like, so, and then I'll just add one more thing, how to get stuff done. I make all these lists. And then I have this one part of my list that is my top 3, and I'm only allowed to put 3 things in it, and I rank them 1, 2, 3. And maybe I get that done 50% of the time. And that's enough. Or maybe I don't get any of it done, and that's fine. I made the list. That's enough. So I guess just lowering, just like waking up every day and doing it again. Wake up every day, do it again.
Anything she's really wanted to accomplish? she's done it because she's a list maker and an
Yes.
achiever, right?
Yes.
And the Julie
Yeah.
said it
You
too.
don't fit up here, but
So the last one for us, that with Pink Beverley.
As long as you're not hurting anybody.
yeah.
Because you're in your final chapter. You're on your way out. So you might as well enjoy the rest of the ride to the nth degree. And while I've always enjoyed my ride, kind of there.
You're right.
I'm really not holding back now. Yeah, so that's my philosophy.
Also,
I love it.
promise you, you are not on your way out, and you should sit over here. A little busy.
You should. You really should. Yeah. Yeah. This is something that's probably evolved over time.
Yeah.
I'm guessing she didn't start out this way. But it's the idea of, as long as I'm not hurting anyone else, I'm going to do what I want.
Yeah, and it's as long as nobody's getting hurt and everybody involved, whether it's happy hour, too many bubbles, or whatever it is, as long as everybody goes into it with full knowledge of whatever it is. Like, she's just like, it's your last, she said you're on your way out, which I clearly disagree with, because she's younger than a lot of 40-year-olds I know.
Sure, she is, but absolutely. But the point I think to take from what she's saying, the point that I take from what she's saying, is that we're all on our way out.
Yes.
So don't live as if there's no, it's infinite, because there choices you make now are going to affect choices in the future. You can't have it all. So what are you going to focus on?
Right, and also do what you want. Like, instead
do
of
what you want. Don't
instead
miss
of
stuff.
and don't, instead of worrying what someone will think.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Is like, be you, and if the thing that makes you happy is McDonald's, go to McDonald's, or if what makes you happy is to do the El Camino Trail, find a way to do it.
And I know I've said this before on the podcast, but a therapist years ago told me that it's far more important to know what you want than it is to get what you want.
Ah, that's
you have to
interesting.
know what you want, because until you, and many of us don't, we know that we're vaguely dissatisfied or maybe incredibly dissatisfied, but we maybe haven't identified what it is that we want.
Right.
So
you have to do some hard work then.
You have to do some hard work. And that goes back to, like, for me, it goes back to the artist way, asking those questions, just like we did here. If money was no object, what would your dream be? What's a dream that you haven't achieved yet? What's advice you would give your younger self? What's a path that maybe you would take if you hadn't already taken a different one? Identifying those things, not in a way to say, I've made mistakes, I hate my life, I wish I could start over. Not that way.
No.
But to say, what do I have?
Right.
What need do I want met?
What doors do I need to open for myself?
What doors do I need to open?
Yeah.
What dreams do I still have? And which ones are maybe, like, dreams are, sometimes we say things like, oh, what are you going to do? Like New Year's resolutions. What are you going to do this year? Oh, I'm going to exercise more, eat fewer chips, whatever. Learn to play the piano. And for me, one of mine is always, I'm going to practice piano more. I'm going to learn to play more. Maybe instead of that, it's that I want to be able to play one song really well.
But that it's so
it's
for
slightly
sure,
different,
yes,
right?
and-
It's
and-
slightly
and
tweaked.
To achieve that kind of thing is to pay enough attention to make it specific. I certainly have things I've done that maybe I shouldn't have done, but I remember being younger and having somebody say to me, take a flying leap. You might regret the things you do, but you'll regret more the things you don't do.
Absolutely. I
Right?
think that's a brilliant point.
Yeah.
My husband and I, through all of the, and we have calculated that about every 3 years we make some kind of major change, major, minor,
Right.
some kind of change. And it used to be, we've talked about this before, having babies, moving, starting a clinic, whatever. And for us, the way we always approached it was, so you know what? There's no reason for a bank to give us this loan. Early on, we've got no collateral, we've got no nothing, blah blah. But you know what? We're just going to try, and see how far we get. We're going to go until we hit a brick wall.
Yeah.
And if we keep going and there's no brick wall, then we do the thing.
Yeah.
You know what? Should we do this? Are we both excited about this? Do we want to try this? Let's go. Let's go
Yeah.
see until a door slams in our
Right.
face.
Yeah.
Door never slams.
But that's just it. And the universe, like, I have a necklace that says the universe has your back, right? One of the things I say to myself is the universe wants you to be happy.
Yes,
And the
yes.
thing is, you might get really close and say, not for me.
That's the key, though. You've decided
Yeah.
it. You haven't been like, oh well, life's against
Yeah.
me. No, you've tried and you've decided.
Yeah.
And then you've got the agency over your own life.
But
you've made that choice.
And sometimes knowing what you don't want guides you to what you do.
Absolutely.
Right? And I think that's a really important thing. But it sort of goes back to, I mean, Pink Beverley has a fabulous approach to life.
She
mean,
does.
what's the downside if you do, and what's the downside if you don't? And if you're not hurting anybody, it's nobody's business.
Yep.
And with that,
I think we're probably.
I think we're good. So what are you grateful for, Roxanne?
Oh, I'm actually grateful for the extra time that we got to work on this podcast.
I haven't looked to see what anybody said yet, but and you know what? With everything going on in the world, it's we apologize for being a bit late. Well, but also, we
also wanted to do it right.
We do want to do it, and we want people to at least see it. We don't want any surprises. We want to make sure people, not that they get to edit it, but that they know what's coming out, right? And want to make sure it's okay with them.
Yeah, I think everybody felt really engaged and really proud of participating in it, and so we wanted to do justice to it. So that's why we're taking the extra time.
But,
and what are you grateful for?
I'm grateful for you.
Me?
Because you've done all the work on this. I haven't edited a dang thing.
No. I mean, I start the stuff, you come up with the documents and the okay, let's do it, let's do this. I'm just throwing out the rough copy, and we're a good team.
We are a good team.
And that is
that's something to be grateful for.
Good thing for both of us to be grateful for, and a great thing to end on.
And I'm grateful we learned that we need more microphones.
Boy, we learn. But this is part of it, right? We're the whole point. We're trying it, we're doing it, we're trying it. We're trying it. Yeah.
See, that's just it. So that will be it. So what do we want more of?
Well, more podcasts, because this one is 50, which is kind of big.
Yeah.
Number 50.
Oh, wow.
But on that note, we want more happy hours with Ruth and Roxy. What do we want less of?
Less bullshit.
Less bullshit with everyone.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind a little 5 degree less, because I feel like I'm having a hot flash.
I know, me too.
Anyway, have a good weekend. Tell
us,
answer the questions. Tell us, what was the question I asked?
I don't know.
Oh, what would you tell your younger self? That's a good one. Tell us what you think.
It's a good one.
Okay.
Bye, you guys.
Yeah. To the point about childhood, that's what Alex was saying, was everything is new. It's your first date, your first love, your first, and your world is so small. Maybe too, our world is so large because we live on a global platform now. Literally.
Yeah. Large, but you run into people that you're totally oh my gosh, I know you from somewhere. The world is not that large. You run into people in your same circles, in weird places.
Oh, yeah.
And things that happen.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't know.
That's why they say, as you get older, do something new, learn a new language, take up a musical instrument, something like that, because it does force your brain to kind of.
It's still, I can tell you that it still all goes so very fast. After retirement for me, we travel a lot, and we do lots of different things. And every day now I wake up and think, I can't believe how fast my life is going. And that could be because at this time of life, and particularly this year, we've experienced a lot of loss. So then you start to reflect, and you start to think, my goodness, it's going
it is short.
quick. And I can't slow it down. No. I'd really like to slow it down. But yeah, it's interesting.
Do you remember when you were a kid, and you're like, next year in school? I can't wait that long. That's a whole year. Yeah. Now it's next year, I'm not ready.
Really tiny lodge. And we go by and some guy has a Canadian t-shirt on, so Paul of course says something. And then we got talking and it's oh, where are you from? And it's they said, oh, well, we live in Chilliwack. And it was and then they said, where are you from? We're in the cottages. And it was oh, we live, up by Lindo Beach at the cottages. And they were do you know Fred and they?
Shirley.
Right? Yeah. And it was this is the weirdest thing.
They're my neighbors.
Right?
They're 2 houses down from me.
Yeah, it was very odd.